In 2020, Americans were loud and clear that they weren't willing to settle for 4 more years of Donald Trump. In many parts of the country, they sent out a clarion call to the left as well. No more status quo. Fueled by the inequity baked into our institutional and political systems, progressives took to the ground. They mobilized around the idea that our society should be built for everyone. One organization shaping that game is the Center for Popular Democracy, a progressive advocacy group revolutionizing the way organizing is done. Its mission? To ensure that our democracy is more inclusive and equitable. The organization is laser focused on expanding the reach of progressives in this year's midterm elections. With new leadership, the wind is at their backs. Analilia Mejia is the new co-executive director of the Center for Popular Democracy. She's with me tonight. Analilia, I am so excited that you are here. Now, CPD has an innovative and decentralized political strategy when it comes to organizing. So could you just start off by explaining that to our viewers?
Yeah, so we operate on the radical idea that all Americans should be equipped with the information about how government works, to be empowered in order to inject themselves in self-governance. And we go door to door. We talk to people, whether it's young people, older people, new voters, or those who have been engaged, and just connect them to the system, because we know that we all can thrive when we all participate in government.
So your organization launched the Hold Our Power initiative to help carry out the mission of bolstering progressive values and issues. Tell me about the specifics of this initiative. What ground game are you employing to ensure Hold Our Power success?
Okay, so to start, CPD is an organization of about 48 organizations across the country. We're in about 34 states, 200 cities. And our entire objective, like I said, is we engage with regular people in the electoral process. On Hold Our Power, what we're really focused on doing is we've analyzed a set of races and identified what number of voters actually make the difference in these races. We also look at Black and brown communities, and we figured out the math really quickly that we can be determining factors across the board and across this country. Now, we're not the only ones that understand this, because there's an entire playbook on the other side that is systematically trying to disenfranchise our same communities, because they know we can be the determining factors. So it's in many ways, it's a race to see who is going to connect with our people and make sure that they stay engaged, that they feel empowered, and they go out to vote.
Like you said, CPD has a massive network stretching well beyond 100 cities across the country. And you partner with organizations like Make the Road New York, Casa de Maryland, Action Now in Illinois, and many, many more. And so I would love for you, as we just are so interested in understanding how CPD is able to really hold so many partnerships and serve as an umbrella organization. What does your support and direction or at least partnership look like with those organizations? And how are you working to really bring social change to underserved communities?
Yeah, well, for starters, myself and my co-director, we come from these communities. I grew up in Elizabeth, New Jersey. It's a majority minority city in New Jersey. And I learned very early, we can be the majority in a community and not see ourselves represented in local and state government. The way that we operate across our network is that we engage with our affiliates, some of which were developed through partnership with CPD. Some of them came to the network after seeing what we were focusing on. We want to build a multicultural, diverse democracy in this country. We want people to feel engaged and empowered. And what does that require? That requires us making sure that we have popular education programs. So we try to ensure that we're sharing information across the network and through the states. That requires people understanding the rules and how to engage in the electoral process, that we have a plan to register voters and to help our network register as many voters as possible, that we have a plan for engaging what I would call weekend warriors, those who are willing to go canvass in their communities to talk to them about the issues that are impacting us. And again, connecting the dots to make sure that we go out and vote. And so it's through this like multi-pronged program across our network and really working in collaboration with other leaders that we're able to do the work.
I am so interested. Give us the dish here on what races that you are zeroing in on and who the organization is endorsing.
Well, there are a few races that we're most certainly paying attention to. When Mandela Barnes' Senate race is a key and important race. Obviously, Stacey Abrams running for governor is an important race, but we cannot dismiss the importance of the Secretary of State races, because these individuals are the ones who are going to set the rules that either expand the opportunity to vote or further curtail it. So we're asking folks, like, pay attention. These races matter in more ways than we can articulate.
I want you to say more about that, though. So for people who don't know, Mandela Barnes is running for U.S. Senate out of Wisconsin. You mentioned Stacey Abrams, who is running for governor again, of course, in the state of Georgia. Yeah. And you also just mentioned Secretary of States generally. Can you drill down a little bit into why those states, why those races, how the voter composition perhaps might really help to impact the way that you organize and the outcomes of those races?
Yeah, for sure. So Secretary of State races, in some states, secretaries of states are essentially elected. Others, they're appointed. And these individuals have essentially the responsibility for determining the rules of the road when it comes to the electoral process in their state. They are the ones who get to determine certifications. They're the ones who essentially are setting up the rules for the game. And so it is important, if it's in your state, you have an electoral process for determining these secretaries of state, that you are paying attention when these races are, what maybe community groups are saying about individuals that are running. It is important for us to note that there are individuals who participated in the January 6th uprising that are running for these positions. They don't need to tell you, I don't need a memo from those individuals to know that they are most likely going to take actions that harm Black and Brown communities' ability to engage in the electoral process, then expand it. And so, again, these races really matter in our communities. I mean, again, we preach we must get engaged from the local level all the way up to federal level. Again, because when we do the math, we know that Black and Brown communities can be the determining factor in so many races and then have a deep, deep impact in our governance and on public policy. And ultimately, that's the game. We want the freedom to thrive, and we know that the way we get it is through active participation.
And how we motivate them to participate is really the thing. I mean, Democrats have spent so much time running campaigns that are about not being Trump. How crucial is it that they campaign on meaningful messages that include substance about policies that are going to change Americans' lives?
Yeah, so it feels like some Democrats pay attention to what they call swing voters, those that swing left to right, and they should be paying more attention. Our argument is that we should be paying more attention to voters that swing in and out. Those that participate in one election and then feel unspoken to, have their issues not addressed in public discourse. These individuals stay home, and they are the majority, in our opinion, can be the majority within the party, but most certainly in some key states. The reality is that in order for us to engage in the electoral process in our great American experiment, we need to feel heard. We need to feel that our issues are addressed. If on a daily, what you're struggling with is housing insecurity, you're struggling with justice at work, you're struggling with lack of transportation in your community or lack of childcare, and your elected officials aren't going big and bold on those issues, then you feel unspoken to and unmotivated to participate. So we're trying to engage folks, again, trying to bring them in on the issues that they care about, figure out levers that we could pull at the state and local level to affect change, because people need these things in their lives, and then make them feel empowered to realize that we are at the core of democracy.
Explain why a progressive agenda is the right one for this moment.
So it's not about like progressive or radical or conservative or left or right. It's about what do people need in this moment in this country. I mean, we all want the same things, right? We want the ability to have safe homes. We want the ability to feel respected at work. We want the ability to be able to have nice things. We want, and it shouldn't be this unattainable or radical idea that if you get sick, you should be able to go to the doctor. If your children want to pursue college or vocational training, that they should have an avenue to do so. That you could leave your home or walk around in your community and feel just as safe as everyone else and not be over-policed. These are not radical things. These are not left or right things. These are human justice things. And so we are just, again, trying to get our communities to really feel empowered and to understand that the things that we want, the things that the demands that we make are not radical. They're not crazy. There is a sector of the community of our country that have them automatically, and there is that inequity is actually going to be is detrimental to our nation if it continues.
Analilia Mejia,
we don't think that's
co-executive
radical.
director.
Not at all. Not one bit.
Well, thank you so much for being here, co-executive director of the Center for Popular Democracy. We appreciate all of your insights, and we'll follow those races. Thank you.